Hi there, Carrie again. It's been a while since I have done a video, and a couple of weeks about just kind of want to start with saying that going over all of this stuff, it really just kind of puts me in there again where it feels like it's just now happening. It makes me pretty emotional. Yeah, it's been kind of purging all this crap out, so yeah, there's that. But it is a good thing, and it's a very heavy weight lifted, so thank you for listening, and I do hope that this information does help somebody out there. But okay, so phase 2 of what I think of as the awakening. Yeah, this is actually a lot more information than before, because it's a lot of just stuff that I have no idea where the thoughts came from. But yeah, so this is going to be probably split into 3 or 4 separate videos to not get too long for y'all out there. So I know y'all have lives to lead too. So yeah, and I also wanted to mention that for some reason in my about me, in the other videos where I'm talking about my dad died on, I said he died on Labor Day. He actually didn't die on Labor Day. It was Memorial Day. I guess I got the two confused. I don't know. I don't celebrate either one of those, so for some reason I thought that he died on Labor Day. But yeah, so I started looking at the calendar and trying to line up all of the dates or the timeline events, and it didn't make sense. So yeah, so I switched those around. But anyway, so I'm at July. I ended up I went into the hospital. I was there for 6 weeks after that first phase. So I was there for 6 weeks. I guess I was back to normal, whatever normal is. I don't know what that is. I don't think I'm normal, but yeah, I was back to normal according to them. I was really medicated. So I'm at July 2015. I was out of the hospital. I was completely sober. I did occasionally smoke a couple hits of pot and drink a couple of beers, but that's all I did. I didn't do any heavy drugs or anything like that. So, because I was trying to be normal, I was trying to get over everything that had just happened. So, July. That was July of 2015. I did pretty immediately notice that songs sounded differently. I remember I came home I was in these classes where, they had me going to these mental person classes. I don't know what you call them, like support group classes. They were forcing me to go to them. But yeah, I came back from one of those, and I was hearing a song on the radio, and I was like, that doesn't sound normal. And I started hearing like love songs in particular were about more than what everybody else seemed to think they were. Like they were not about the love of a man and a woman. It was more about the love of a real love. And I guess I've never really, I'm not married or whatever. I've never really met a soulmate or anything like that. So maybe that was just me, but I was like, they're not talking about an actual relationship. They're talking about a parent and loving their child, because that kind of love is real. And so I actually started asking everybody, like, what do you hear when you hear that song? And so that, that got kind of bad. But that was my first thing that I noticed was different. And then mid-October, the symptoms the whatever you want to call it, the label, whatever label you want to put on it, symptoms. My symptoms started to come back, and they were in full force. And I had gained a lot of weight from the medicine. I couldn't sleep. I had a lot of energy. I was really distraught at that time because I hadn't seen my daughter in 6 months. So I was really distraught. Yeah, and just loads of energy. Yeah, and I noticed not only I guess the first thing that sticks out is, like I said in one of my other videos, just the vault above my head. Like I was connected to my higher self. I was connected to something else. And the things that were happening, it's hard to explain, because it's like the things that are happening here on this level, the 3D level, are also happening, you know, as above, so below, right? So they're happening there in the future and in the past. I don't know how that works, but it was like things were meaning more than what, you know, what was just happening here. So that's really the only way I can explain that. Somebody else probably could explain it better, but just as above, so below. The things that I was saying, that I was doing here, were also, you know, we're multi-dimensional beings, so that was happening on other levels as well. And that's when I first, you know, these symptoms lasted a total of 2 weeks. But the first thing that I really noticed was, like, I would be walking, like, from the garage into the house, use the bathroom or whatever, you know, make something to eat. And as I was walking, it would just be slow motion. Like, everything is just slow motion, and I'm walking at a normal speed, but everything is slowed down. And I noticed that, and I was like, whoa, what is going on? And I didn't really know how to describe it, but there was somebody at one point, in the garage, and I heard a loud bang, and I thought this person tried to shoot me. I thought the person shot at me, and everything had slowed down, and the bullet was just right there and just never hit me. That's a really, really strange thing to feel like is happening to you. Yeah, so I thought that someone actually shot me. My necklace is falling off. Yeah. I don't really know. It just, trains. Every time I would hear a train, I would think, wow, that's a sound from the past. And I started thinking that everything like this place, like, this has already happened before. I've been here before. This is the past. I did keep asking my friend, of course I'm still living there, and you know, with my friend John, and I kept asking, when did I die? You know, when did I die? It was Matt killed me. I was like, my ex killed me. He killed me, because there was a couple of times when there were fights bad enough when that could happen, and a couple of them, you know, really stuck out to me, and I kept asking. I was like, I died that night, didn't I? Well, what about this night? And he's like, no, Kara, you're still alive. And I knew, it's like, I know how that sounds. Well, you know, how can you be dead if you're alive? Well, you know, and I'll make other videos as well, you know, that goes into how that could be possible. But if that's the past, then I've already been here. I don't know. It's just really strange. But I knew that I was here and I'm alive. I'm in this body, and it was like, I'd look at my hands and I'd look around like, how is this happening? Because I knew that I died already. I was like, I'm dead. I've already died. And yeah, these symptoms were really bad. I would sit outside while everybody else was sleeping, because, and once again, I was completely sober. no drugs. Like, I mean, I have never really heard of anybody that smoked a couple of hits of pot, and I would only take a couple of hits of pot at a time. But I never heard of anybody that would take a couple of hits of pot and start acting like and thinking like things like this. That just doesn't happen. But yeah, so everybody would be sleeping, and I would be out there out in the backyard, and I would be looking at the bushes. And I remember looking at the bushes, and it's not like I would see, like physically see things, but I would sense things. And I just got this really strong feeling that there were invisible people in the bushes, and that they were waving at me. Like, they could see me, and they were happy I was there. And I was like, okay. And I wasn't afraid. I was just like, cool. Okay. And these people were, I guess, from another dimension, in another dimension. I don't really know how that would work, but they were there, and they were invisible, and they could see me. And then right around that time, I also started thinking that, believing that animal people existed. And when I say animal people, I just mean bipedal, walking around on two legs, and, you know, able to speak, and has two arms just like me and you, but they were animal people. Because remember, in the first wave of this, I had a black feline being communicating with me. So, you know, why not? So I really started thinking about it. Okay. And I'm like, okay, I'm 100% sure that there's pig people, that there's lizard people, any kind of animal that you see here, or being that you see here is, you know, they've grown, they've evolved. So why would we be the only ones? And I really started thinking a lot about this. So at that point, I was convinced that there were dog people, cat people, bird people, mermaids. The vampires would kind of go along with the cat people. And then if there's vampires, of course, it'd be werewolves, you know, the dog people, bird people, fairy tale creatures. Yeah, I'm just any kind of fairy tale creature. I was like, okay, that probably exists. And it was like my mind was just completely opened, and I couldn't sleep. I mean, all I could do was sit there and think about these things. And these drugs that were supposed to, you know, I guess stop me thinking, or whatever, call it a thought disorder, or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, what does that even mean anyway? But I also believed that the animals that were here, like especially my dog Abby, I thought that she could secretly talk, but she just knew that she shouldn't talk because, you know, there were certain rules to be here, and that, you know, in that form, that she couldn't talk. And I was like, come on, Abby, you're gonna tell me that you can understand me and you can talk. And I thought that she would just start walking and talking at any moment. So yeah, that was just the beginning of this next set of the awakening for me. And I know how it all sounds. It sounds pretty wacky, but once you start realizing that what you see just really isn't all that there is, then it really kind of starts to make you believe in fairy tales. You know, I do have a pretty wild imagination. I've always had a wild imagination, but you know, these stories come from somewhere. You know, they people come up with these science fiction. Well, where do you think those stories come from? I mean, if you really think about it. But yeah, just have an open mind about reality. I mean, how awesome would that be? That, I mean, of course you wouldn't be able to eat pigs anymore. You wouldn't be able to eat animals. They could actually come and say, hey, can you stop doing that, please? And you'd be like, oh, okay. You know, but aside from that, yeah, that'd be great. Great, cool. Like, sign me up. I want to go there where pigs fly. So, I mean, they're flying spaceships probably. So I think that's really neat. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and cut this off there. And there's a bit more that I'm going to finish up with on this. And it got so bad that I did end up I got so frustrated that I took a bunch of pills, and luckily I'm still here. But if you know anybody that's going through this, just tell them to look at my channel and know that there's hope. There is hope. And this psychosis or whatever, delusional psychosis crap, I mean, there's a reason for it. So don't let people tell you that, you need to stop being so delusional, because the world's changing. And there's a reason why people are starting to see into the other realms. There's a reason for all of this. So, okay. Thank you guys for listening, and I'm going to try and get this story finished by the end of this week. Okay? Have a good night.